contribute to dialogue in Lebanon. It is a strongly held belief in Norway that only inclusive dialogue can create the conditions for peace and stability. Over the next 2 days, we will discuss a range of policy issues that urgently need to be addressed in Lebanon. Through discussions and dialogue with experts from different fields, we hope that the papers presented during these 2 days and the discussions they will spark here at the forum will help contribute to a way forward for Lebanon. Every country has its unique characteristics and contexts, and Lebanon is no exception. This is why this forum brings together experts with in-depth knowledge of Lebanese society and history. There is, however, a lot to be learned from the experience of others. One example is the financial crisis that hit Iceland, our neighbors and ancient relatives in 2008. In order to recover, Iceland took action, including through banking sector restructuring and fiscal policies, in line with the conditionalities of the IMF. I am very pleased that the Norwegian senior economist, and he's Norwegian, not Icelandic, as many people seem to think, Norwegian senior economist and former president of the Central Bank of Iceland at the time when these changes took place, Mr. Svein Harald Øygard, will be with us to share his experience and insights. That is tomorrow, Tuesday, 1:20 till 2. Mr. Øygard has also written a very interesting book about his experiences in Iceland. We hope that the discussions and exchanges during this forum will continue beyond these 2 days and contribute to the reforms and changes that are needed in Lebanon. This fall, we are planning a similar exercise focusing on Lebanon in a regional context. Finally, I would like to give a special thanks to Mr. Alain Bifani and to Mr. Karim Bitar and their teams at the Citizen Foundation and at the Université Saint-Joseph. I would also like to thank my 2 colleagues, Sven Wroldsen and Mari Grepstad at the embassy, Sven is here, for their work leading to this event. So that wraps up the number of the size of our diplomats. We are only 3, actually. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bifani and Mr. Yusuf for your inspirational and guiding words. My name is Johnny Lehero, and I have the pleasure to moderate the first panel of Lebanon Looking Forward Forum. And I will immediately start by introducing Mr. Karim Daher. Mr. Karim Daher is an international business lawyer and tax advisor with wide experience.
D'accord. Thank you. I would like to thank the Lebanese Citizen Foundation, represented by Mr. Alain Bifani, the Royal Norwegian Embassy, and the Institut des Sciences Politiques for their invitation, their excellent organization of this event, and for the honor granted to me to share this first panel, important panel, to discuss and address an important issue at stake, which is the fostered judiciary, fostered justice, and rules of law. When the Germans were bombing London during World War II, Prime Minister Winston Churchill was briefed on casualties and economic collapse. He asked, "Are the courts functioning?" When told that judges were dispensing justice as normal, Churchill replied, "Thank God. If the courts are working, nothing can go wrong." If the same question is posed to us today about Lebanon, what would we say? In point of fact, we can easily respond that everything goes wrong because none of the three institutional powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary, is actually working as it should, and the principle of separation of powers stated in the Constitution is not respected and abided with, owing to several loopholes and gaps in the Constitution itself and in the implementation, as well as in the behavior and interferences of the ruling elite, as it will be explained and expounded successively by the valuable and renowned speaker in their papers and discussions throughout this panel. Those papers will demonstrate governance in Lebanon cannot rely solely on constitutional rules, but rather on consensus among religious communities, and more particularly between political leaders controlling those communities. Those kleptocrats rule the country since decades with total impunity. They control respectively the judicial circuit, the government, and the parliament, and sabotage judicial investigations. Moreover, one should admit that suspicious exchange of personal benefits between the government and the parliament since Taif reforms and Doha consensus distorted the constitutional principle of cooperation between the two powers and the separating lines among them. Sectarian and personal consideration still surmount in practice and in legal status the prevalence of law and allow the abuse of power by the powerful and the lack of efficient and consistent enforcement of the law. The same conspiracy between the two powers undermines the independence of the judiciary, since the rules that regulate the administration of the judiciary are enacted by the legislator, and the appointment, transfer, and promotion of judges fall within the prerogatives of the executive power, which permits substantial interferences by the said executive in judiciary affairs. It is therefore crucial that the new parliament improve and adopt the draft bill on the independence of justice in compliance with international standards and best practices, and strive as well to allow individuals whose rights and liberties may be breached by adopted laws to have direct access to the Constitutional Court to defend their rights. In addition to the necessary constitutional reforms and effective effort to close gaps, various other measures should be adopted to promote rule of law, in particular by strengthening the relevant state institutions and oversight bodies, enhancing good governance, ensuring transparent and responsible use of public revenues and expenditures, securing clear separation of public position and private interests, to prevent and manage conflict of interest, and finally, improving people's access to information and enabling accountability. The key attributes of good governance include, for its part, in addition to transparency, responsibility, and accountability, participation and responsiveness to the needs of the people, providing them security, equitable, as well as to embrace. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, rules and regulations alone will not guarantee justice and ensure the implementation of reforms to save whatever could still be saved. There must be willing acceptance of the rules and determination to apply them, plus a stronger financial and political accountability with a sanctioned regime and an enforcement process to create a deterrent effect. The scale of these challenges is nothing short of vertiginous. Tackling them head-on to get on track towards meeting the recovery objectives will require robust commitment. This is a national emergency and a problem for all. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Mr. Daher.
the panel will be in French, but there is a translation, a direct translation for those who...
Thank you, Mr. Daher. We know you are all excited to take part of designing updated public policies. So the sessions are also streamed via Zoom, And now we are ready to kick off with our first topic. Dr. Laham, the floor is yours.
As our chairman Karim Daher said, considering that we are a Francophone university, we have decided to do the first two panels in French. The panel